I will say maybe Goth's back because we have a term we've been using a lot lately called color drenching, and it's like where you do the trim, the walls, ceiling, door, everything the same color. And Moody's in, so maybe we could be considered Goth. Who knows?
Hi there. Welcome to the Connecting KC podcast. I'm Rachel Kilmer, also known as Rach the Realtor on the internet, where I love, connecting all things KC. I'm a metro area real estate agent, retired sports reporter, and mom, and probably too old to call myself a TikToker, but honestly, that's how we got here. You can learn more at www.rachtherealtorkc.com. But this show is all about introducing you to all of the movers and shakers, interesting people, heartfelt stories, and funny quirks that make this vibrant community home. So let's get right to it with today's episode of Connecting KC. Welcome into today's episode of Connecting Kansas City, where I am joined by the dynamic duo behind Midwest & Co., Megan Shepard and Janna Cogleiser. Megan and Janna are the co-founders of Midwest & Co., which is based in Kansas City, and they have backgrounds in software technology, but then channeled that passion for design into creating unique and captivating spaces. After more than a decade in the corporate world, they dedicated themselves to a mission of helping people love your home. Since its launch in February of 2021, the firm has rapidly evolved from small room makeovers to a comprehensive hub for remodels and new builds, successfully completing 90 projects within its first year and a half. Looking ahead to this year, Midwest & Co. is shifting its focus from quantity to quality, tailoring each project to craft unique, curated spaces that authentically reflect their clients, with a special emphasis on large remodels and new construction. However, accessible design remains integral to their approach, ensuring they continue to offer attainable makeover and design projects for all. I love it. And you guys have been busy in your first couple of years here. Tell me how this all began. What's the origin story of Midwest & Co.?
So Megan and I met actually at K-State several years ago, and we've been friends ever since. And we both had like a big interest in just our personal homes and flipping them and remodels. And then about 5 years ago, I built, I didn't physically build it, but we built our first home. And my husband and I, not Megan and I, and we were in software for 13 years, running like sales and operations and improving processes and things. And COVID hit, and we realized that life is short, and is this what we want to do every day? So we went on lots of walks and did like a year of planning and said, like, what's our passion and what makes us happy? And this is it. So we went out and said, hey, we're going to start designing homes. We have the background of, doing our own work, and thought that we'd have to build a portfolio. So we actually were going to start by doing not flips, by doing short-term rentals. And we thought we could build our portfolio that way. And then once we announced it, people started, being interested. And so we were able to grow our business and client base pretty quickly, and didn't have to do the Airbnbs because the market was also terrible at the time. So that's where we are.
Yeah, crazy timing with the market too. Megan, did you guys both quit your jobs and go full-time, full send, or was this like a side hustle at first, or kind of what was that process like?
Yeah, good question. We definitely did not jump in head first at the beginning. We were like, let's test this out, see how it goes. And so we were doing lots of nights, weekends, as much extra time that we had, which as working moms wasn't a lot, but we were very dedicated and excited about it. So we gave all of the time that we had. And what we figured out really quickly was, no, we couldn't replace our income, but that wasn't as important as doing something that we loved and really building this brand that we are passionate about. So we kind of just took a leap. And even though we weren't there 100%, we kind of transitioned away from full-time jobs and then moved over to Midwest & Co. after about 5 months or so. So it was a pretty quick transition to full-time.
Yeah. Your brand is so cute. I love it. Like it captures Kansas Cityans so well because it's kind of got that like Midwestern, obviously Midwest thing, but like
Yes.
you have like the hats and the, but it's still like cutesy and girly. Like, does your brand capture your style that you design with, or does your style kind of change based on the client?
That's a good question. I feel like Midwestern is something we're really trying to coin because we really look at all of our spaces as functional spaces that are cozy and really using authentic materials and textures and colors that feel, welcoming and warm and really just identify with the type of spaces that we love. So I I think we really use that as the core of our style and what we bring to our clients. But at the same time, we're not trying to do the same thing in every space. So we love to really get to know our clients and understand their families and what they love, and then kind of meld the two and then create something very unique for each client. But it has like our spin on it, and you can tell it's a Midwest & Co. house or project.
Yeah, I love that. Janna, do you guys ever get crazy requests from clients that are like, I want like a goth themed bedroom or like something really off the wall that you're like, okay, we want to honor what you want and also make it like visually appealing? Like, how do you handle those kinds of projects?
Yeah. So I think that we've done a good job. Like, I'm really proud of like how we built our brand because we've fortunately, I think people can see the type of projects we do and like the brand we've built that represent us, and they're kind of coming to us for that. And I think that that's a good sign that we're hopefully communicating well to our community and our followers and people that see us on social media, that maybe like a goth bedroom isn't necessarily like what we are comfortable with doing like often. I will say maybe goth's back because we have a term we've been using a lot lately called color drenching, and it's like where you do the trim, the walls, ceiling, door, everything the same color, and Moody's in. So maybe we could be considered goth. Who knows? So luckily people come to us, I feel like, for like our brand, which has been great. We haven't had to turn away a lot of like any of those type of projects, and we kind of decided early on that we could say no. So if we don't feel like we'd be a good fit for somebody that wants to do a style that maybe is something that we don't either like or that we're not super comfortable with, we'll refer someone else. But we do love a challenge and are up for things that push us out of our comfort zone too.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned the color drenching, and I'm so happy that color's back. What are
Yeah.
like the biggest trends you're seeing this year in the design world that people like may not realize is the next thing that's coming down the pipe?
Yeah, we
Uh,
for a couple of years we've been saying modern grandma, like kind of joking about that, but it's true. I think that seeing like a lot of like organic and floral and maybe some those kind of textures, but mixed with clean lines is really like things that we're seeing or things that we really like. Color drenching, so a whole room. Also, like if you want to do like a wallpaper, a wall covering, and then doing like accent colors on the trim and on the doors, and we're seeing like browns and reds, which is crazy. All that's coming back. But we're really
so
passionate
much
too
wood.
about, yeah, lots of wood, which we love for Midwestern because we feel like Midwestern is a word we're trying to coin, like in the sense like that's a style. Because if you think right now, Midwestern isn't really a style. Like you see so many different homes in this area. Um, and so we're trying to kind of like define that as a style. And that's like Megan said earlier, lots of textures, cozy, stone, metal, like different materials. So we're seeing a lot of that too because we like it.
I have a design challenge I'm going to put you guys on the spot with. Kansas
Okay.
City, we love our sports teams, especially the Chiefs, but the colors are so
Mm,
ah. And so in my
yeah,
own house,
McDonald's.
I'm a diehard sports fan. I want to display all my sports gear, but it looks so tacky. And as a real estate agent, when I'm like helping people stage their basements and stuff, I'm like, love the Chiefs. Maybe let's dial it back 85%. But I'll ask Megan this, like, how would you design a basement that's meant to be sports themed, but not like red and yellow everywhere? Like, how would you like tone it down and make it more
Yeah.
palatable?
Yeah, well, it's good just to have a more neutral base. So a color, we're doing a lot of just more like neutral walls. So maybe a shade of white, and then creating a gallery wall where you can pull in a lot of those pieces that might be a little bit more, louder, like maybe that have some of those brighter colors. But if you have, a more neutral base, like maybe wood tones and whites or colors that are a little bit more neutral, then when you're pulling all those like pops in your artwork or accessories, then it's a lot easier to kind of change those out or make it feel more cohesive than, going all in on the red walls, which I don't know. Janna did say red is back, but
but not Chiefs red. Yeah, not Chiefs red. Can I add to that really quick? Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say too, like we did a project recently and we like a really large like cityscape, which was really cool. And I think like local photography and local artists is like something we really try to weigh in on, like bring into our projects also. So I think that either you can pull some reds and yellows in there, or even if it's like a more muted Arrowhead Stadium painting or something, like I think, or black and white photography. A lot of times we do really oversized frames and mats, but like the photo's smaller, and then that makes it not feel like too busy. It's like more consistent and clean. So it's just another idea on how to bring in Kansas City into design.
looks more like artwork than like a poster or something. There's
Yeah,
ways I
or
think to
pennants.
kind of elevate
Pennants
it.
are cute too. Like on a gallery wall, adding a pennant. Like my son has a Kansas City one, and they have like black and white, or they have Chiefs. They have so those are a cute way to add it too.
Brings in texture.
Yeah.
Erin Andrews is a sports reporter, and she has a like fashion line that's like NFL gear, but it's like actually cute, like actually a gold necklace that says she's, it's not like gaudy. No one's done that for like home decor. So like maybe it's a Midwest and Coast spinoff is like actually appealing sports decor for the home.
There you go. You're thinking. There's a market for it in Kansas City for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like you guys need to add more to your plate.
Yeah.
So tell me about working with builders in new construction, how that has been for you guys. It is a very male dominated industry. Most builders are men, most contractors are men, but I think a lot of times the design aspect is overlooked until the last minute. And then it's like, oh, wait, this doesn't actually make sense in the way the home functions. Like, where are you guys jumping in on the process on new construction? Are you able to get your opinions in from the ground up, or like are you kind of have to at the end be like, okay, well, let's paint this blue and at least it helps, what's that process like for you guys?
Um, I'll go ahead and take that one because I think I have a couple of the new build projects I'm leading right now. Um, they, like you said, you're right on everything. What's interesting is contractors. I mean, if they work with a poor designer, they probably didn't have a great experience. Maybe one that wasn't very organized or maybe super needy or changes their mind all the time. Like that would be frustrating. But if there isn't a designer involved, the contractor is the one that has to help make decisions, and they don't like to. Like they don't want to pick the tile cut, like the tile or the paint color. So they actually like. I feel like we've really created some awesome relationships with contractors here in Kansas City. That we really respect each other, and they respect each other's work. So I think it's just coming into that with an open mind, and like we're relationship people, so we like want to become friends with these people, and then they want to work with us, and we make it a lot. I think that makes the process a lot easier. Ideally, we are brought in earlier in the phase, like maybe even at architecture, so we can help them with flow and function and like how do you want to use the space. Because once that floor plan's like determined, I mean, sometimes you can move a wall here and there, but if it's, part of the infrastructure of the home, that's really difficult. So we like to be brought in really early as possible, like in the dream phase. I will say a lot of clients bring us in, like I have one today that just reached out and she's like, I just wish we would have brought you in earlier. So we get that feedback a lot if we get brought in later, but we do what we can to help get it to a space where they love it and they love being in the space. But yeah, earlier on is great. And our process is that we help with the function and the flow, and then we go all the way through design phase and then into selections and then into like we call an install or a style at the end. And so we're there for the whole thing. So it can be up to 2 years sometimes.
And to touch on the male dominated part, just because I do think you're right, I think we're kind of a minority in terms of if you look at all of the different trades and people who are associated in the build process. But I think coming in and having a female's viewpoint and being able to help kind of be that person and that resource for the client that kind of walks them through the process. And we kind of call it our hand holding, like the full service, because we think it's so easy for little details to get missed, or we're just like, okay, here's the timeline, we just need to get all these decisions made. And I feel like we're kind of the people who are holding all of the different parts and kind of making it cohesive so that it's a good experience, and we have kind of the end goal in mind, just to make sure that we're executing that and kind of providing that full service experience for our client, that I think otherwise it's like, okay, pick your paint color, not thinking like, well, what is this actually going to look like what are we going for here, not just like, okay, we just need all your selection. And so I think also just the logistics and the process, Jana and I are really passionate about continually making that a better process, both internally and for our clients.
I think too, just one more thing on that too, Megan, is that like just with Megan and I's background, it may be, yeah, in software for a lot of it, but our hobbies and our like free time was in the like construction and in design, you know? And I think that we pay attention and we are operationally minded. So we like remember things well and we have good processes, like she mentioned, which I think a credibility comes with that. And I think like when we have these conversations, like, I mean, we've been in with, owners of very large new construction companies, and we hold our ground and we're confident with where we are, and the fact that we can speak the speak, and talk contracting terms, I think really provides like a level of trust and credibility that helps us like just really kind of break down those barriers. And at least that's how I feel up until this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys have touched on Midwest style a little bit, but if you were to put words to it, like paint us a picture, what is Midwest style? What is the vibe that you guys are going for in a broad sense?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is how the room makes you feel. I think that's where we start. It's like, as Midwesterners, like, we are welcoming people and we just want to create a space that feels cozy. It feels welcoming. It's a place that you want to be. So I feel like we start there, and so we really think about warm colors, warm textures, cozy furniture. We think about, like the lighting and the artwork that we're choosing. So like Jana said, it's a lot of wood, like natural textures that you'll find, like stone, wood, like warm colors that just make you feel cozy, and different fabrics that are ones that you want to sit on, having like cozy throws and pillows, and the lighting is something that is ambient and it's like comfortable. And I just think that's where we start. And when we think of Midwestern, it's really, how do we bring that feeling to a space?
Yeah. And we want them to feel comfortable, right? But we do like to push them out of their comfort zone a little bit. And something, if they're comfortable with it, like we try to incorporate a horse like in every single project if we can. If it's in a book, a coffee table book, or if it's in like a little statue or artwork, and not in a cheesy way. Like I feel like sometimes the Midwestern like could be a little cheesy, westerny, and it's like we don't want that. So it's very like clean lines, and I think that like cozy sometimes too can be misinterpreted for like very like could be messy, like a lot of things. And in some spaces that makes sense, and we like to have it like a maximalist feeling, and then others like minimal, you can have a minimal feel, and just have it really simple and clean, but it's still welcoming. Like we don't like to create stuffy spaces or like too pretty spaces.
Right. I love that you guys are taking Midwest and like giving it like a cool vibe, because you know what I think of when I think of Midwest design is the everyone's mom has a beach themed guest bathroom in the Midwest. Like literally everyone. And it has like a jar of seashells that they've gotten from Florida. And like to me that's like Midwest design. So
My mom has one that says Kiowa Island and it has an alligator.
yes. All of them do. I'm like, Mom, why? Like
My mother-in-law's is Caribbean, but everybody has to have one.
I know, because I think that in the Midwest, and I think that's great. If people are drawn to a Spanish style, Southwest style, or like we just did a new build that kind of leans like Cape Cod, New England style. Um, I think that's great if you have like that kind of style and you want to pull that in. But like in the Midwest, there wasn't like a Midwestern style. So you're like pulling from other areas. And sometimes I feel like if you go all in and it feels kind of cheesy, it isn't authentic to our area. It's like I was really into cactuses for a while and I'm like, they don't grow here, you know? And I think they're still fine, but maybe not in every room.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's maybe why people are drawn to have these like themed bedrooms and bathrooms, because we don't have like
We don't have a style.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
But we're
true.
working on that.
Yeah, I love it. One house at a time. So another thing that impacts people's ability to have the home that they want right now is the housing market is so tough. You guys kind of alluded to that. It's gotten a lot better in the last like month and a half. Like I'm so busy right now, but rates are high, prices are high. A lot of people aren't able to buy their dream home right now. So if they're getting a home that like they maybe doesn't have the features that they want, what are the most cost effective and like high impact ways for people to kind of modernize a home that may not be exactly what they're envisioning for themselves right now?
Yeah. Maybe we tag team this one, Megan. I'm sure we'll think of ideas, both of us. Um, well, to put in a little plug, what's coming later this year is we are working on some design guides because the reality is that our time is trade like there's only so many hours in a day. So how do we help serve more people and have some sanity and some time back in our lives? Because building a business is no joke. So we're going to build some design guides that we will for new builds, remodels, and just for separate rooms that'll hopefully help people too. We're working on those. So if they don't want to invest in a designer, they have this guide they can use to create like a space they love. But I think like paint goes a long ways. If that's your walls or if that's color drenching, like we talked about, we've been doing on a lot of projects lately. That's super cool is just doing the trim. So if you have like a really neutral white wall, if you want to do your trim and your doors in accent color, like that just changes everything. We're doing a lot in like we've done a whole house. We've also done it in just like kid rooms, which is super fun. Primary bedrooms, wall covering like that, especially like if you can find it at a decent price, like that's an inexpensive um, update. And I think like moving your furniture around is huge. Like usually you can, or like move it from different rooms, or have a friend over and be like, hey, like look at this space. What do you think? Because I think you kind of get so narrow focused on like how you live in your space, and you never think of like outside the box or how you could change it, and it could change the space completely just by moving some furniture around.
I'd say one other big tip is when people get in a new house, I think it's so easy to be like, okay, I want to change all of these things. Like here, I don't love this. But if you focus in one space at a time, so like maybe select your living room first and be like, I'm going to focus in this area and I'm going to like really think about how I can elevate this space and get it just how I like it. And then you walk into that room and it feels the way that you want it to feel. Because I think some people do tiny things in a lot of different spaces and they don't feel the needle move, but they're spending a lot of money, they're spending a lot of time. And then it's almost like by the time they get it done, they're ready to redo it again. So I feel like it's good to just start in a room and really get it to where you want it to go and then move on to the next space. Because then you'll really have, I feel like, the feeling that you want to have when you walk into that room, and you can feel accomplished and check the box and then move on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, last two questions I ask everyone that comes on the show, which I'm kind of sad to end because I could talk to you guys about this for a million years because I love it so much. But last two questions. First one is for each of you to answer this. What is a great meal that you've had out and about in Kansas City recently?
I would probably say it's not that recently. We had our Midwest and Co. Christmas party down in the Stockyards. What was the name of that restaurant, Jenna? The Golden Ox. Just the vibe down there is awesome. The food was amazing. So highly recommend Golden Ox.
Yeah, in the Stockyard brewery next door. It's so Midwestern, so super cute.
I know it's such a classic. I like definitely need to add it to my list. Okay.
There you go.
You kind of don't feel like you're like in Kansas City. It feels very like vintage vibe.
Yeah. I'd have to say probably I'm gonna have to think of a new one, but I would say like best experience and like we were with our team and it was like Christmas time, so it was awesome. So I definitely agree with Megan. Great choice. a good lunch spot, like where Megan and I are always looking. Like right now, we don't have an office space. We're working on that for this year, next year. But so a lot of times we go and meet at places. So a place that we designed and we actually love their food and the atmosphere is Hema Hema in Waldo. And we partnered with Ashley Barr, the chef there, an owner, and helped her design it. And it's super cute and fun. Talk about modern grandma. It's that. And the food is awesome. It's called healthful food. So it's like you feel good eating it, but it's not like so clean that you're like, I need to go eat a Snickers.
Oh my gosh, I have not been yet, but I've been dying to go, mostly because of how cute it is. So you guys nailed it. Yeah. I've seen it all over Instagram. Like that is the most like aesthetically pleasing space. Like
yes. And what I love about it is it's like it represents us too. I feel like even though it's her restaurant, her space, I feel like what it represents with Midwestern and Midwest & Co. is it almost feels like a home. So you can like walk by and walk up and get your coffee from the window, or you can go in and grab a coffee, a pastry. You can grab and go food, and then you go into the new, like that's kind of like the breakfast nook, and then you can go into the lunch area and get like lunch, and then or breakfast, and then they have another room for instructional kitchen like classes, and so it just feels like a home, like different spaces. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. So cool. Okay, last question. Now, like, I feel like everyone's gonna be banging down your door, like, you guys designed Hema Hema, I need you to design my house or my business. So, where do they find you? Website, social media, best way to get in contact with you guys?
Yeah, I feel like you can see a lot about us on our Instagram. We try to kind of keep everybody up to date on what we're doing and project check-ins and share a lot of our portfolio there. So, mid underscore West and Co is our Instagram. And then you can also find us at midwestandco.co. And we do have more on our like a contact us form, and you can sign up for our newsletter that we send out monthly. And then we also do have our portfolio on there as well. So a couple of different ways to find us.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. And I can't wait to see the Midwest style takeover in the next couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. It was fun.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.